What's up, blockchain? This is Nick from TruthBlitz. Hope you guys are having a good one. So we're going to take a quick look at the market, and then I'm going to get into what I want to talk about today. So right now, if you don't know already, we are in a down day. We have gone even lower. Bitcoin 10,672, and the overall market cap is 513 billion. It seems like whenever we take a little dip, Bitcoin dominance creeps up slightly. So we're at 35% on the nose. So basically, what I really want to talk about today is this, Hashgraph. I've had a lot of people contact me. What is this Hashgraph? People are saying it's going to replace blockchain. If that happens, you know, what happens to my crypto assets? Are they going to be worthless, etc., etc.? So I am in the process, and I've been saying I'm going to do this, and I really just haven't gotten around to it for lack of time, but I am in the process of learning the technicals on Hashgraph. But basically what Hashgraph does is it uses what's called a gossip algorithm. So, and what's called virtual voting. So this is a kind of an animated diagram of how Hashgraph works. And you can tell it looks like a regular line graph. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is not really talk about too much of the technicals, but I'm going to talk about a couple other things. So currently, there is no coin on the Hashgraph network. So I do believe, and I have heard that they will be putting one on there. So will they have an ICO? I don't know yet how that's going to work, but I'm sure we'll learn more in the future when information comes out on that subject. But what I really want to talk about is the claim that people are making that this is going to fully replace blockchain. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why, at least at this stage of the game, that is not going to happen. Okay. And there's a couple reasons. So number one, Hashgraph is a patented technology. Okay. So the code is patented, which means it's not open source. In order for a company to go ahead and build on Hashgraph, the company has to go to Hashgraph and apply for a software development kit or an SDK. Okay, and I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure that they are charging money for that, and it's probably going to cost a lot of money, you know, for a company to be approved to develop on Hashgraph. Whereas, say I start a company, and we can use any of these companies as an example: Populous, Veritasium, Spectre. Any company can go and build their platform on top of Ethereum or on top of EOS, which, you know, EOS is actually paying venture capitalists to build or to fund projects on EOS. So you don't have to pay them, they're paying companies. So now I will get into a little bit about EOS versus Hashgraph, because if you've been following me in what I've talked about EOS, you say, oh, well, 250,000 transactions per second, which is what Hashgraph is claiming they can do, right? Well, right now EOS successfully tested at 50,000 transactions per second, and Dan Larimer says they're scalable to millions of transactions per second. So that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to really get into EOS versus Hashgraph. I'm kind of talking about blockchain as a whole versus Hashgraph, and why I don't think we really have anything to worry about at this point. So, like I said, it uses a gossip algorithm. This is pretty much an animation of how it works, and not open source. Patented technology where you have to pay, I believe, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears that this is going to be geared towards probably big companies, right? For them to come build on Hashgraph. Now, this is the thing when we talk about Hashgraph versus blockchain, is Hashgraph, to me, that's one strike against it. It's a patented technology. It's not open source. Okay, so all of, or most of the, cryptos and blockchains that we know are open source. You can go on GitHub and you can fork off them. Anybody can go build on Ethereum. Anybody can take, for example, the Bitcoin code and fork that and make their own blockchain, add to it. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I like that we can do that. How many cryptos have come off of the Bitcoin code? All right, how many were originally forked off of the Bitcoin code? So this is what I'm thinking when it comes to Hashgraph. Now, don't take my word as gospel, but this is how I feel about it. And I think Cliff High, actually, he was asked about Hashgraph and he said something similar. Is we have how many years now of use on blockchain technology? The Bitcoin white paper was released at the very end of 2008. Bitcoin came out in 2009. And ever since Bitcoin came out, we have been developing and maturing blockchain technology, making it better, mainstreaming blockchain technology use. Okay, look how many now to date, how many companies are built or building on blockchain, right? So for Hashgraph to replace blockchain, we have about a 9-year head start on use. And I mean we as in blockchain. So for Hashgraph to replace that, I just don't think it is at this stage of the game going to gain the traction it will need in order for that to happen. Now, I don't know what can happen in the future, but to get all of these companies and all of these people to switch over and start using Hashgraph, that doesn't seem like an easy thing to happen. So that's how I feel about it right now. Again, I am still learning, and I'm not saying the technology isn't good, because it is. The guy who created this, Lehman Baird, works for a company where this is what he does, is create distributed ledger technology, I believe, or consensus algorithms, I should say. And he's been doing this a while. So yeah, the technology is good for sure, but I just don't believe it's going to be able to gain the traction that it needs to replace blockchain technology, especially when anybody can't just go to GitHub and download the code and build on that technology. Anybody can't go onto their network and build on their network, such as Ethereum. So that's one thing that they have working against them, being that it is a patented technology, and you have to gain access by the company in order to be able to do that. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys know something I don't, I'd love to hear it. If you guys know what their plans are about them releasing a coin on Hashgraph, just as Ether rides on the Ethereum network, I'd love to hear about that. But this is just my opinion on, you know, a lot of people have been saying this is the new thing and this is going to replace Bitcoin, this is going to replace Ethereum, this is going to replace blockchain in general. And I just don't think that this is going to happen, at least not for the next few years. You know, we don't know what can happen over the course of a few years. Things do move fast in the crypto space, and you should know that by now. Things move very fast. It's like dog years. And I've said that before. But it is going to take a lot for it to gain enough traction where more people are using Hashgraph than blockchain. You know, like I said, 9 years of people using blockchain and adoption. So, you know, it makes sense to me that this isn't going to happen. If it does, it's not going to be any time in the near future. So let me know what you guys think. Follow me on Twitter at TruthBlitzMedia. Subscribe to the podcast, the Block Party Podcast. The link's in the description. And I'll see you guys next time.